The door that wasn't on the map. The Regal Meridian Theater sat like a glass cathedral at the edge of downtown Denver, its neon marquee flickering against the winter dusk. Snowmelt dripped from the curb. Traffic hissed along wet pavement. Inside, the lobby buzzed with Friday night energy, popcorn machines roaring, teenagers laughing, and the smell of butter and caramel clinging to the air. 6 friends burst through the revolving doors at once, bringing in a gust of cold air and frantic energy. "Tell me it hasn't started yet," Maya gasped, clutching her phone. "It started 10 minutes ago," said Trevor, checking the showtime board. "You said we had time." "I said we had maybe time," Maya shot back. They stood in a messy circle near the ticket scanner, breathless and irritated, a group that had known each other since college but had never quite grown out of their habit of blaming each other when things went wrong. The 6. Maya Ortiz, Trevor Blake, Janelle Price, Marcus Reed, Ethan Shaw, and Lily Chen. They were here for the midnight premiere of Grave Meridian, a horror blockbuster everyone online claimed was so terrifying people walked out. Marcus had insisted they see it together. Authentic reactions, he'd said. "I'm filming a vlog." Now the movie had started without them. "Just sneak in," Marcus whispered. "People do it all the time." Trevor frowned. "This isn't a multiplex with 10 screens. There's one entrance to Theater 3. Maya pointed down a dim hallway marked Employees Only. A service door stood slightly ajar. "Or," she said, "we take a shortcut." The hallway beyond the door was narrow and unlit, smelling faintly of cleaning chemicals and old carpet. The hum of the lobby faded behind them. "Pretty sure we're not supposed to be here," Ethan muttered. "We're already late," Maya said, pushing forward. At the end of the corridor stood another door, matte black, unmarked, no handle, just a small metal plate reading 13. Lily frowned. "That's weird. Theaters skip 13. Marcus grinned nervously. "Perfect horror foreshadowing." Trevor reached out. The door opened at his touch with a soft hydraulic sigh. Inside was darkness. Not the soft darkness of a theater, a thick, swallowing void. "Okay," Janelle said. "This is not normal." Behind them, the hallway door slammed shut. They all turned. The handle was gone. A dim light flickered overhead, revealing a long hallway lined with deep red velvet curtains. The air was warm and stale. The floor felt soft, like walking on old stage padding. At the far end, another door. "Backstage," Marcus said. "We must be behind the screen." "Then why are there no exit signs?" Lily asked. Trevor checked his phone. No signal. They walked. The curtains rustled, though no wind moved. Halfway down, Ethan stopped. "Did you hear that?" A whisper. Not words. Breath. They spun around. The curtains bulged outward as if someone stood behind them. Janelle pulled one open. Nothing, but the fabric was warm. They reached the far door. It opened easily into another room and slammed shut behind them. The velvet hall vanished. "Okay," Trevor said slowly. "This is a controlled environment." "English," Maya snapped. "It's a sequence. One door leads to another. We just keep moving forward." Marcus lifted his camera. "This is insane. The lighting, the set design, someone spent money on this." "Marcus," Janelle said quietly, "this isn't a set." Rows of empty theater seats faced a blank screen. The projector whirred to life. On screen, security footage. The 6 of them in the lobby 10 minutes ago. "Is this live?" Ethan whispered. The footage shifted, now showing them entering the employee hallway. "That's impossible," Lily said. "We're watching what already happened." The image zoomed in on the black door marked 13. Then the screen showed something new. The hallway behind them, and a figure standing at the end. Tall, motionless, featureless. The projector flickered off. Behind them, the exit door clicked shut. "Okay," Trevor said, pacing. "There's a system." "Yeah," Maya said. "Doors open, doors close. We move or we stay trapped." Janelle pointed to a glowing sign that hadn't been there before. "One door opens, one door closes. Choose." A new door appeared beside the screen. Marcus laughed nervously. "Interactive horror maze. Someone's messing with us." The seats creaked, all at once, as if people had just stood up. They didn't look back. They ran through the new door. A circular chamber lined with tall mirrors. Their reflections stared back, but not in sync. Maya's reflection blinked late. Trevor's reflection looked over his shoulder. Ethan's reflection smiled. "I'm not smiling," Ethan whispered. The reflections began to move independently. Lily stepped back. "Don't touch the mirrors." Marcus, of course, reached out. His reflection grabbed his wrist. He screamed and yanked back, falling to the floor. The mirrors went still. A new door appeared. The previous door vanished. "This is not a prank," Janelle said. "We need to stay together and think." Trevor nodded. "We map the pattern. Each room presents a psychological trigger, fear response, then a choice." "Choice for what?" Maya demanded. No one answered, because the lights went out. A child's laughter echoed. When the lights returned, the mirrors showed only 5 reflections. Lily turned slowly. Marcus was gone. The door behind them was sealed. On the wall, new text appeared. 5 remain. The maze has begun. The doors are choosing. And the rules are still unfolding. The sound of one missing voice. Marcus's absence did not register all at once. At first, it was just a gap in the circle, an empty space where someone should have been standing. The human brain, desperate for normalcy, tried to fill it. Maybe he'd stepped behind someone. Maybe he'd crouched to pick up his camera. Then Ethan spoke. "Where's Marcus?" The question landed like a dropped plate in a silent house. 5 reflections in the mirrors, 5 sets of breathing, 5 shadows on the floor. No Marcus. The mirrors fogged from the inside. Words appeared, traced by invisible fingers. "He touched first." Janelle swallowed hard. Touched what? All eyes moved to the mirror Marcus had grabbed. A handprint burned into the glass from the inside. Trevor stepped forward, analyzing. Cause and effect. The room is enforcing rules. Maya snapped. "He touched a mirror, Trevor. That's not a rule. That's a kidnapping." Lily shook her head slowly. Not kidnapping. Selection. No one wanted to ask what that meant. A narrow door slid open silently along the curved wall. Above it, glowing text. Sound room. Ethan let out a shaky laugh. "Great, that sounds comforting." The mirrors behind them began to crack, hairline fractures spreading like spiderwebs. Janelle grabbed Ethan's arm. "We move, now." They stepped through the door together. Behind them, glass shattered. Darkness. Not the absence of light, the presence of it, swallowed. The air felt thick, padded. Sound behaved strangely here. Even their breathing seemed muffled. A single overhead bulb flickered on, revealing a long, rectangular room lined with black acoustic foam. Microphones hung from the ceiling at uneven heights. At the far end stood a metal door with a speaker mounted above it. Lily whispered, "It's a recording booth." Her voice didn't echo. It disappeared. The speaker crackled. Marcus's voice came through. "Guys, very funny. You can stop now." Ethan lunged toward the speaker. "Marcus, where are you?" No response. Then Marcus's voice again, closer to panic. "Okay, seriously, I can't find the exit. The doors keep changing." Maya pressed her mouth to her mouth. "He's in another room." Trevor's eyes lit with terrified understanding. "Parallel paths." The speaker hissed. Marcus screamed. The sound cut off mid-breath. A new message illuminated on the foam wall. "Only one voice may speak." The group froze. Ethan whispered, "What happens if we—" The lights flickered violently. A piercing feedback shriek blasted from the speaker. They clapped their hands over their ears. The message pulsed brighter. "Only one." Silence fell like a command. The metal door remained closed. Beside it, a small console slid out from the wall, a single microphone and a red button. Below it, text, "Speak to proceed." They stared at one another. Who speaks? What do they say? And what happens to the rest? Trevor gestured carefully. Slow movements, no sound. He pointed to himself, then to the microphone. Maya nodded reluctantly. Trevor stepped forward. He pressed the button. The room seemed to lean in. "Hello?" he said, voice steady but thin. "We want to leave. Open the door." Nothing. The speaker crackled. Request denied. The overhead lights dimmed. The message changed. "Try again." Trevor stepped back, shaken. Maya grabbed his arm. "Let me try." He shook his head. "We don't know the cost." Janelle pointed to the foam wall. New words were appearing. One voice, one truth. Lily whispered, too quiet to trigger the system. "It wants honesty." Maya inhaled slowly and stepped to the microphone. She pressed the button. Her voice trembled. "I'm scared." The room stilled. The speaker remained silent. The metal door unlocked with a heavy clunk. Relief surged. Too soon. Ethan turned to grin at Maya. Then his smile faltered. Behind Maya, her shadow didn't match her movement. Her shadow stood still, and then it stepped away from her. Janelle screamed, the sound swallowed instantly by the foam. The shadow slid along the wall like liquid ink and vanished into a seam between panels. Maya spun around. What was that? The wall text updated. "Truth takes a shadow." Trevor's face drained of color. "It took part of you." Maya looked down at her hands, flexing her fingers as if checking they were still real. "I feel lighter," she whispered. No one said what they were thinking. What happens when there's nothing left to take? The metal door creaked open into darkness. Above it, glowing faintly, 4 rooms remain. Ethan's breath hitched. Rooms or people? No one answered. They stepped through. Behind them, the sound room lights snapped off. Marcus's voice whispered one last time through the speaker. "Don't let it hear you lie." They emerged into a concrete stairwell. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. The air smelled of dust and cold metal. A sign pointed, "Exit. Down, level B." The stairs going up descended. The stairs going down climbed into darkness. Lily stared. "That's not physically possible." Trevor ran a hand over his face. "Non-Euclidean space. Great. We're in a nightmare designed by a mathematician." A heavy door slammed somewhere above. Footsteps echoed. Slow, deliberate, not theirs. Ethan whispered, "We're not alone in here." The exit sign flickered. Changed. Choose wrong, lose one. Marcus is gone. Maya has lost her shadow. The maze is no longer testing fear. It is taking pieces of them, and the next choice may cost a life.
The weight of the wrong step. The stairwell hummed with a low electrical buzz that seemed to vibrate inside their bones. The concrete walls were damp, streaked with mineral stains like tears that had dried mid-fall. Overhead, fluorescent tubes flickered with a tired pulse, casting a sickly green light that made everyone look slightly unreal. 5 friends remained. Marcus, gone. Maya, missing her shadow. And now the maze had made its rules unmistakably clear. Choose wrong, lose one. Trevor crouched near the base of the stairwell, squinting upward. Okay, he said quietly, let's remove panic and look at the mechanics. Ethan barked a humorless laugh. Mechanics? The stairs are going the wrong direction, man. Trevor ignored him. Optical distortion, forced perspective. Maybe the incline reverses halfway. Lily shook her head. No, look at the shadows. They all did. The shadows on the steps bent upward against gravity, stretching toward the ceiling like black roots. Maya wrapped her arms around herself. It wants us to choose. Janelle nodded, and it told us the consequence. A metallic clang echoed from above, slow, deliberate steps. Not theirs. The sound came again. Clang. A step. Clang. Another. Heavy. Measured. Patient. Ethan whispered, something's coming down. Trevor corrected him. No, something's waiting for us to come up. The exit sign flickered violently, then split into 2 arrows. Up. Exit. Down. Safe. The word safe glowed in soft green. Ethan pointed. Safe. We go safe. Trevor frowned. That's exactly why we shouldn't. Why would it lie? Ethan snapped. Maya answered quietly. Because it hasn't yet. Silence settled like dust. Lily walked slowly between the 2 staircases, eyes scanning everything, the bolts in the railings, the placement of the lights, the spacing of the steps. Every room has taken something tied to our behavior, she murmured. Marcus touched. Maya told the truth. Janelle nodded. So this room tests choice. Trevor added. Specifically, trust. The footsteps above stopped. The silence that followed was worse. We vote, Janelle said firmly. No rushing, no panic. Ethan wiped his palms on his jeans. Up is exit, down is safe. Those are the options. Trevor, up. Maya, up. Janelle, up. Lily, up. All eyes turned to Ethan. He swallowed hard. Safe sounds like living. Maya stepped closer. We don't know what safe means here. The exit sign flickered again. Choose. The footsteps resumed. Closer now. Ethan squeezed his eyes shut. Fine. Up. They began climbing toward exit. With each step upward, their bodies felt heavier, as if gravity were increasing. Their legs strained, their breathing thickened. Halfway up, Janelle stopped. Does anyone else feel pulled down? Trevor nodded. The incline is wrong. We're climbing, but my inner ear says we're descending. The air grew colder. Behind them, the safe staircase vanished into blackness. No turning back. A hand grabbed Ethan's ankle. He screamed, collapsing forward. Something was pulling him downward through the steps, not beneath them, but through them, like the concrete had become liquid. Janelle and Trevor grabbed his arms, hauling him upward. Ethan's leg sank to the knee, swallowed by the stair. Below the surface, something moved, a silhouette pressing upward against the translucent concrete. A face, featureless, pale, wrong. Ethan sobbed. Don't let it take me. The exit sign flickered. Weight must balance. Trevor's voice broke. It wants a trade. No, 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 whispered Maya. The pull intensified. Ethan screamed again, a sound raw enough to shred the air. Janelle made a decision. Let go, she said. Trevor stared at her. What? If we all go down, it takes all of us. Ethan shook his head violently. Please. The concrete climbed past his thigh. Maya grabbed his hand, tears streaming. He knew she was lying. The stair swallowed him to the chest. Trevor let go first. Janelle closed her eyes and released him. Maya held on a moment longer, then the pull tore him from her grip. Ethan vanished into the stair without a sound. The surface hardened instantly. The exit sign glowed steady. Balance restored. No one moved. No one spoke. They stood on the stairs, 4 remaining. The space where Ethan had been was now just empty air and memory. Maya stared at her hands as if they belonged to someone else. I let go, she whispered. Janelle's voice was hollow. We all did. Trevor looked upward, face pale and rigid. We keep moving. Why? Demanded Maya. So it can take the rest of us? Lily answered softly. Because stopping is also a choice. At the top of the staircase stood a steel door labeled Projection. A faint beam of light shone beneath it. Behind them, the stairs dissolved into darkness. Forward was the only direction left. Trevor pushed the door open. Warm air washed over them, smelling of dust and burnt film. They stood inside an old-fashioned projection booth overlooking a theater. Below them, rows of seats filled with silhouettes. On the screen, the 4 of them standing in the booth. A live feed. Maya staggered back. No, no more watching ourselves. The silhouettes in the audience turned their heads in unison, slowly, until they faced the booth. No faces, just smooth, blank skin stretched where features should be. Lily whispered, They're waiting. The projector rattled loudly behind them. Trevor turned. A film reel spun, though no film ran through it. Words burned into the blank strip of celluloid. Show us your guilt.
Ethan is gone. The maze now demands more than fear. It demands confession. And the audience is waiting.
The audience without faces. The projection booth smelled of hot metal and dust, like an attic that had been sealed for decades. The low, mechanical whir of the projector vibrated through the floor beneath their feet, steady and relentless, a heartbeat that did not belong to any living thing. 4 remained. Marcus, taken by the mirrors. Ethan, swallowed by the stairs. Maya, shadowless. Trevor, Janelle, Lily, unchanged, but no longer untouched. And now, an audience waited. Trevor stepped closer to the booth window, peering down into the theater. Rows upon rows of seated figures filled the darkness. Their bodies were human, the shapes of shoulders, heads, hands resting on armrests, but their faces were smooth, featureless planes that reflected the flicker of the screen like dull porcelain. None of them blinked. None of them moved. They were all looking up, at the booth, at them. Maya's breath hitched. They're expecting something. Lily whispered, not something, someone. On the massive screen below, the live image of the 4 survivors flickered and distorted. Their faces stretched, blurred, sharpened again. Then the image cut to black. White text appeared. Show us your guilt. The projector behind them rattled violently. Janelle turned slowly. We've seen this pattern. Every room takes something tied to behavior. Trevor nodded. Fear, truth, choice. Maya swallowed. And now, guilt. The word itself seemed to thicken the air. A metal tray slid out beneath the projector, holding 4 empty film reels. Each reel bore a name etched into its surface. Maya, Trevor, Janelle, Lily. Ethan and Marcus were absent. Maya stared at the reels. It wants us to confess. The audience below shifted, not visibly, but the sound of hundreds of bodies adjusting in unison rippled through the theater like fabric dragged across a floor. Trevor's voice dropped to a whisper. We don't get to refuse. The lights dimmed, leaving only the glow of the screen and the soft flicker of the projector. Maya stepped forward first. I'll do it. Janelle touched her arm. You don't have to. Yes, said Maya. I do. She picked up the reel labeled Maya. The metal was warm, as if it had been held by someone else moments before. Tell it, Trevor said gently. Maya stared at the screen, her reflection faintly visible in its blank surface. Her voice trembled. In my second year of law school, I sabotaged a classmate. The projector roared to life. On screen, a memory, a young woman sitting in a library, exhausted, her laptop open. Maya, younger, nervous, slipping a USB drive into the computer while the woman stepped away, deleting files, corrupting backups. The woman returned later, discovering her work gone. Her face collapsed. Her scholarship depended on that project. In the booth, Maya covered her mouth. I told myself it was competition, but she dropped out. The audience below leaned forward in perfect synchronization. The screen went black. The reel in Maya's hands grew cold. On the wall, new words appeared. Guilt, accepted. Maya gasped and staggered. Her reflection in the booth window vanished. She was still there, but she no longer cast a reflection. Lily's eyes widened. It took her reflection. Trevor whispered, it's erasing them in pieces. Maya touched her face, panicked. Am I still here? I feel here. Janelle gripped her shoulders. You're here. But the booth glass showed only 3 figures. Trevor stared at his reel for a long time. Finally, he picked it up. I built an algorithm for a loan approval system. The projector activated. On screen, spreadsheets, code, data models. Then faces, families denied loans, small businesses closing, a couple standing outside a foreclosed home. Trevor's younger self presenting the system to executives. It optimized risk, he said hollowly, but it flagged neighborhoods instead of individuals. Entire communities were denied. A child on the screen pressed a foreclosure notice against a window. Trevor's hands shook. I told myself I was just the engineer. The screen cut to black. Guilt, accepted. Trevor gasped. His breath fogged the air, but no sound came out. He clutched his throat. Janelle stared. Trevor, say something. His mouth moved. No sound emerged. The maze had taken his voice. Janelle's turn came with a heavy stillness. She picked up her reel with steady hands. In the ER, we triage. We choose who gets help first. The screen flickered to a hospital corridor. 2 patients arriving at once, a well-dressed businessman clutching his chest and a homeless man wheezing, barely conscious. I chose the one with better odds. The homeless man died waiting. The audience leaned forward again. Janelle's composure cracked. I told myself it was protocol, but I still see his face. The screen went black. Guilt, accepted. Janelle inhaled sharply, then froze. Her hands began to tremble. Lily grabbed them. They were ice cold. Janelle looked down, horrified. I can't feel my hands. Her fingers remained stiff, pale. The maze had taken her touch. 3 confessions, 3 prices. Maya, reflection. Trevor, voice. Janelle, touch. Lily stared at her reel. I don't know what it wants from me, she whispered. The audience below began to tap their armrests in unison, a slow, thunderous rhythm. Waiting. The screen flashed. Last confession. Lily's hands shook as she picked up the reel. When I was an intern, she began, voice barely audible, I approved a structural change I knew was unsafe. The projector screamed to life. Blueprints filled the screen, red annotations, a warning email left unsent.
A parking garage months later, concrete cracking, cars crushed, one person trapped inside. I told myself the senior architect would review it, she sobbed. He didn't. The tapping in the theater stopped. Silence. The screen went black. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the words appeared. Guilt. Rejected. The booth lights exploded in a blinding flash. Lily screamed as the floor beneath her rippled like water. Trevor grabbed her arm, soundless, desperate. The audience below stood up. All at once, their blank faces tilted upward. The screen blazed white with new words. Truth withheld. Penalty due. Lily sobbed. I told the truth. Maya shook her head, realization dawning. Not all of it. The floor opened beneath Lily like an iris. Hands, pale, faceless, reached up from the darkness. Janelle lunged, numb fingers useless. Trevor pulled with all his strength. Maya screamed, tell it, tell everything. Lily's voice broke. I signed off because the developer bribed me. The hands stopped. The floor sealed. The screen flickered. Guilt accepted. Lily collapsed, sobbing. Her tears fell, but never reached the floor. They vanished mid-air. The maze had taken her ability to cry. The audience sat down in perfect unison. The projector powered down. A door materialized at the back of the booth, glowing faintly. Above it, 3 remain. Maya stared at the words. There are 4 of us. Trevor tried to speak. No sound. Janelle's numb hands hung uselessly at her sides. Lily wiped her dry cheeks. They all understood. The maze was counting what they had left. Confession has cost them pieces of themselves. The maze is not just removing people, it is dismantling identities. And now it believes only 3 remain.
The arithmetic of loss. The glowing door at the back of the projection booth stood slightly ajar, breathing out a faint, sterile light that smelled of ozone and something older, like paper sealed in a vault for decades. Above it, the words still burned. 3 remain. 4 people stared at it. Maya, no shadow, no reflection. Trevor, no voice. Janelle, no sense of touch. Lily, no tears. And yet the maze insisted only 3 remained. Trevor tapped the message with his knuckles, then pointed to each of them, silently counting. 4. He shook his head, frustrated. Maya watched him, understanding dawning. It's not counting bodies. Lily whispered. It's counting what's left of us. Janelle looked at her hands, pale, unmoving. So one of us is already less than alive? No one said the thought that followed. Who is the maze closest to erasing? The door creaked wider. The booth behind them dissolved into darkness. Forward was the only direction left. They stepped into a vast circular chamber lined floor to ceiling with narrow drawers, like an old library card catalog magnified to cathedral scale. Each drawer bore a brass nameplate, thousands of names. A soft golden light glowed from the ceiling dome, illuminating dust motes drifting in slow spirals. At the center stood a pedestal with 4 empty slots. As they entered, 4 drawers slid open on their own. Marcus Reed, Ethan Shaw, Maya Ortiz, Trevor Blake. Janelle and Lily's names remained closed. Maya's breath hitched. Why are our names here with the missing? Trevor pulled open his drawer. Inside lay objects, personal, intimate. A childhood photo, a worn USB drive, a foreclosure notice, a strip of blank film. He staggered back. They're pieces of me. Maya opened hers. Inside, a debate trophy, a torn scholarship letter, a broken compact mirror, a black silhouette cut from paper, her missing reflection, her missing shadow. Text appeared on the pedestal. A name is a life may be filed. Choose who remains recorded. Lily shook her head. No more choosing. Janelle read the slots aloud. 4 slots, 4 names, but the maze thinks only 3 remain. Trevor's eyes widened with terrible clarity. 1 name must be removed. Silence crushed the room. Maya backed away. We're not doing this. A drawer slammed shut on its own. Ethan Shaw disappeared. The brass plate fell to the floor, clattering loudly. Lily whispered, It already erased Ethan. Janelle swallowed hard. He's gone, even from here. Trevor looked at the remaining drawers. Marcus, Maya, Trevor. 3. The pedestal still demanded a choice. Choose who remains recorded. Maya's voice cracked. If a name is removed, what happens to the person? No one wanted to find out. A faint tapping echoed from inside Marcus's open drawer. Maya froze. Did you hear that? Trevor nodded, eyes wide. The tapping came again, frantic. Janelle pulled the drawer wider. Inside, beneath the objects, lay a thin strip of film. It flickered to life. Marcus appeared on it, trapped in a narrow corridor, pounding on invisible walls. They're filing us, he shouted. Every choice you make, it's rewriting us. His image glitched. Don't let them close my drawer. The film burned to white. The drawer began to slide shut on its own. Maya lunged, jamming her foot in the track. No! The mechanism groaned. The text on the pedestal shifted. Overflow detected. Remove a name. Trevor paced, silent panic etched into every movement. He pointed at the names, then at the pedestal, then at the ceiling, trying to assemble a system where none should exist. Lily spoke the thought he couldn't voice. If the archive holds the lost and the living, it decides reality. Janelle whispered, if a drawer closes, the person stops existing. Maya shook her head violently. Then we don't close any. The room darkened. Drawers began sliding open across the walls. Thousands of names. A whisper filled the air, overlapping voices speaking at once. Choose, choose, choose.
The pedestal glowed brighter, projecting a new message. Failure to choose will result in random erasure. A drawer across the room slammed shut. A distant scream echoed, cut off instantly. Lily clutched her head. We can't let it pick. Maya's eyes filled with a grief she could no longer cry out. We're deciding who lives. Trevor shook his head violently, then stopped. His hands moved slowly, deliberately. He pointed to his own name. No, Janelle said immediately. He pointed again, more firmly. Maya understood. You think if you remove yourself, the rest of us? Trevor nodded. Lily whispered. You already lost your voice. He gave a small, sad smile. Trevor reached toward his drawer. Before he could touch it, the room shook violently. The pedestal blazed white. Time expired. A drawer slammed shut. Marcus Reed. The brass plate fell. The tapping stopped. The film strip turned to ash. Maya collapsed to her knees, soundless sobs racking her body. We were too slow, Janelle whispered. Trevor stared at the closed drawer, horror hollowing his eyes. Marcus was gone. Not lost. Erased. The remaining drawers, Maya and Trevor, slid shut, but did not lock. The pedestal dimmed. New words appeared. Record updated. 3 remain. Lily whispered. It wasn't counting bodies. Janelle finished the thought. It was counting names. Maya rose slowly, hollow-eyed. And now Marcus doesn't have one. A narrow passage opened in the wall of drawers. Beyond it, darkness pulsing with a faint red glow. Above the passage, identity test pending. Trevor hesitated. Maya stepped forward. We keep moving, she said, voice empty but resolute, because stopping didn't save them. Janelle and Lily followed. Trevor lingered one last moment, hand hovering near Marcus's blank brass plate on the floor. Then he stepped into the passage. The archive of names sealed behind them with a final echoing click. Marcus has been erased. The maze now controls not just bodies and memories, but existence itself. 3 remain, or what the maze believes are 3.
The identity test. The passage from the archive of names narrowed until the walls brushed their shoulders. The air grew warmer with every step, thick with a metallic scent like overheated wiring. A faint red glow pulsed ahead, slow and rhythmic, not quite light, not quite heartbeat. 3 remain. The maze had said it, the archive had confirmed it, and yet 4 bodies walked forward. Maya, Trevor, Janelle, Lily. But what is a person when pieces have been taken? The passage ended abruptly in a square chamber lit by a dim red ceiling panel. The walls were smooth and seamless, the floor polished to a mirror-like sheen that reflected only the ceiling, not the people standing upon it. At the far end stood 3 identical doors. Above them, stark white letters glowed. Maya, Trevor, Janelle. Lily's name was absent. She stopped walking. No, she whispered. No, no, no. The text on the wall shifted. Identity test pending. Unregistered entity detected. The red light intensified, washing the room in an alarm-like glow. Maya grabbed Lily's arm. You're here. We see you. Lily shook her head, panic rising. The maze doesn't. Trevor stepped toward the doors, scanning them like code he could decipher if he stared hard enough. Janelle read the new message aloud. Only the recorded may proceed. Unregistered entity will be resolved. The word resolved hung in the air like a blade. Lily backed away. I lost my name in the archive. I'm not recorded. Maya's chest tightened. Then we don't go through. The walls vibrated faintly. A low mechanical hum filled the chamber. A seam appeared beneath Lily's feet. She screamed as the floor panels shifted, separating like sliding plates. Trevor lunged, grabbing her wrist. For a moment, nothing happened. Then his grip slipped. Janelle grabbed his arm, anchoring him. The floor yawned open beneath Lily, not into darkness, but into blinding white light. Featureless hands reached upward, the same faceless forms from the projection theater. Unregistered entity will be resolved. Maya screamed. She's with us! She's one of us! The message flickered, paused. New text burned onto the wall. Provide proof of existence. Trevor's eyes darted wildly. He pointed at Lily, then at his chest, then at Maya, trying to form a connection the maze would understand. Janelle spoke steadily, voice steady despite the terror. She confessed. The maze accepted her guilt. Confession confirmed. Identity partial. The floor stopped opening. The hands froze inches from Lily's feet. Maya shouted. She lost her tears. The maze took something. Loss verified. Identity incomplete. Lily sobbed, dry, soundless. Trevor grabbed the film strip from his pocket, the blank strip from the archive. He shoved it toward the wall, gesturing frantically. Her story, Maya realized. She still has a story. The red light steadied. The floor sealed. The hands withdrew. Identity provisionally accepted. Lily collapsed into Trevor and Janelle, shaking. I almost wasn't, she whispered. No one corrected her. The room returned to its dim red glow. The 3 doors remained. Maya, Trevor, Janelle. A new line appeared beneath them. Enter to restore. Maya frowned. Restore what? Janelle flexed her numb fingers. What we've lost. Trevor touched his throat, silent. Lily wiped at tears that never came. Hope, thin and fragile, flickered in the room. Too easy, Maya said. Every offer has cost us. Janelle nodded. If one of us enters, what happens to the rest?
The wall answered, restoration is individual. Completion requires sacrifice. Hope died. Trevor's shoulders sagged. Maya stared at her door. If I get my reflection back, do I lose something else? Lily whispered, or someone else. The doors creaked open a few inches, inviting. Inside each, darkness. They stood in silence for a long time. Finally, Janelle spoke. We don't go in. Trevor nodded. Maya exhaled shakily. We've survived by refusing the obvious. Lily looked at the empty space where her name should have been. We stay together. The red light flickered. The text wall glitched. Refusal detected. The doors slammed shut. The room trembled. For a moment, they thought they had made the wrong choice. Then a new passage opened behind them, narrow, descending, lit by a cold blue glow. Above it, collective path unlocked. Trevor's eyes widened with silent relief. Maya managed a faint, exhausted smile. Together. They descended into a corridor of steel and frost. Their breath fogged the air. The walls were lined with pipes that ticked and groaned, as if something flowed through them, something thick and slow. The temperature dropped with each step. Janelle's numb hands did not notice. Trevor's silent breath came in sharp bursts. Maya shivered. Lily hugged herself, dry-eyed and hollow. At the end of the hall stood a heavy vault door, rimmed with ice, etched into the metal. Memory vault. A low whisper seeped through the seams. Familiar voices. Marcus laughing. Ethan joking. Childhood echoes. Forgotten lullabies. The maze had taken pieces. Now it held their memories.
The memory vault. The vault door radiated cold so intense it burned the air. Frost crept outward from its seams, forming delicate white veins across the steel walls of the corridor. Each breath the survivors took fogged instantly, drifting like fragile ghosts before vanishing. 4 stood before the door, but the maze still counted 3. Maya pressed her palm against the metal and jerked it back. It's freezing. Janelle stared at her own hands, pale and numb. I can't feel it. Trevor leaned close, ear to the door. Faint whispers seeped through, not random noise, but voices layered over one another like overlapping radio stations. Marcus laughing, Ethan complaining about leg day, a child calling Maya's name, Trevor's mother saying she was proud of him, hospital monitors beeping in Janelle's memory, the creak of Lily's childhood apartment stairwell. The maze had not just taken their pieces, it had taken their past. Etched into the frost-covered door, words slowly appeared as if written by invisible fingers. Memories are weight. Weight slows escape. Deposit to proceed. Maya recoiled. It wants us to give up more. Lily whispered, if we lose our memories, what's left of us? Trevor touched his throat, then tapped the door twice, as if asking a question he could no longer voice. The vault answered. Collective burden exceeds limit. Deposit required. Janelle's eyes hardened. We've carried guilt, loss, and fear. Now it wants what we love. The whispers behind the door grew louder, pleading. The vault door split open a few inches with a long, grinding groan. A freezing wind poured out, carrying shimmering fragments of light, tiny, glowing shards that floated like snow. Each shard contained a memory, a birthday cake, a college graduation, a first kiss, a late-night drive with friends, Marcus making terrible popcorn, Ethan flexing in a mirror. Maya reached out instinctively. The shard dissolved in her fingers. Her face went blank. What was I just thinking about? She whispered. Trevor grabbed her shoulders, alarmed. Janelle spoke carefully. You touched one. Maya frowned. Touched what? Lily stared at her. You don't remember. The realization settled like frost in their lungs. To touch a memory was to lose it. The vault demanded a deposit and offered temptation. From the floor rose a metal pedestal with 2 shallow bowls, a scale. Above it, glowing text, equivalent exchange, memory for passage. Trevor shook his head violently. Maya whispered, we're already fading. The whispers intensified, now layered with urgency. Marcus's, don't forget me. Ethan's, you owe me a rematch. A child's voice, Mom? Lily covered her ears. It's using them. Janelle stared at the scale. If we refuse, we stay. Silence stretched until it snapped. Janelle stepped forward. No, Maya immediately said. You've already lost enough. Janelle shook her head. My hands are gone. I can't feel patience, can't hold anything. What am I if I survive like that? Trevor's eyes pleaded. Janelle closed them. I remember the first life I saved. A little boy, asthma attack. He hugged me after. She reached into the drifting shards and grasped one glowing fragment. The scale chimed softly. The vault door opened another inch. Janelle blinked. Her expression emptied. What do I do? She asked quietly. Maya's heart broke. You saved him, she whispered. Janelle frowned, confused. Saved who? Her hands hung numb at her sides. Now she had lost the memory of why she became a nurse. The door remained mostly closed. Insufficient deposit. Lily shook her head. It's not about one memory. It's about weight. Trevor stared at the scale, then at the drifting shards, fragments of birthdays, family dinners, road trips, laughter. He backed away, shaking. Maya whispered, if we give too much, we won't be ourselves anymore. The vault answered, identity is optional. Passage is not. Lily stepped forward slowly. I already lost my tears. Maybe it's easier not to feel. She reached into the storm of memories. Her fingers closed around a shard glowing warm gold. She inhaled sharply. That's my grandmother's kitchen. She taught me to fold dumplings. The shard dissolved. The scale chimed again. The door opened wider. Lily's face went still. She blinked. Why do I know how to cook dumplings? Maya covered her mouth. The maze had taken not just the memory, but the feeling attached to it. The door was halfway open. Trevor stared at the shards, thousands of moments that made a life. He pounded the scale with his fist, rage silent in his throat. Maya understood his fury. We're paying to leave with the pieces of ourselves it hasn't stolen yet. Trevor met her eyes. Then he stepped forward. He grabbed a shard without looking. The scale rang. The door opened further. Trevor froze. His shoulders slumped. He looked at Maya, and his eyes did not recognize her. She staggered back. Trevor? He tilted his head, confused. He remembered language, fear, survival, but he no longer remembered their friendship. The vault door stood open just enough for a person to squeeze through, not enough for all four. Final deposit required. Maya stared at the scale, horror rising like floodwater in her chest. If I give one, I might forget why I'm fighting to leave. Behind her, Marcus's voice echoed faintly from the storm. Don't forget me. Ethan's laughter followed. She closed her eyes. I won't forget you. She knew the maze might take that promise. She reached into the drifting light. Her hand closed around a shard glowing soft blue. Her father teaching her to ride a bike. She almost let go. Almost. The scale chimed. The vault door swung open fully. Maya gasped. What was I afraid of? She whispered. Beyond the door lay a narrow passage lit with pale daylight, the first natural light they had seen since entering door 13. They stood at the threshold. 4 bodies, fragments of 4 lives. Behind them, the memory vault began to close. Inside, the shards continued to drift, holding the pieces they had surrendered. Marcus's laughter faded. Ethan's voice dissolved into static. The door sealed with a final, echoing boom. They stood in silence. Janelle, who no longer remembered why she cared. Trevor, who no longer remembered who they were. Lily, who could not feel the warmth of her past. Maya, who could not recall the love that shaped her. The maze had not just taken their pieces, it had hollowed them. Ahead, the passage sloped upward towards a soft glow. Above the exit, faint letters flickered. Final sequence initiated. They have paid with memories. They are closer to escape and further from themselves. Only one sequence remains, and the maze has taken enough that it may no longer matter who survives.
The exit that requires a witness. The passage beyond the memory vault sloped upward at a gentle incline, the air gradually warming with each step. The steel walls gave way to smooth concrete, then to painted drywall, then to something impossibly ordinary. Scuffed baseboards, faded carpet, the faint smell of buttered popcorn. The scent hit them all at once. A theater lobby, the place they had been trying to reach since the beginning, or something wearing its skin. They emerged into a wide hallway lined with framed movie posters. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. A soda machine buzzed softly in the corner. Somewhere in the distance, a movie soundtrack swelled, heroic strings and thunderous drums. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Maya stared at a poster for an action movie she didn't recognize. Were we here already? Trevor glanced at her, polite but distant, the look of a stranger trying to place a face on a train. Janelle flexed her numb fingers, watching them move without sensation, as if they belonged to someone else. Lily stared at a family exiting Theater 6, a mother holding a child's hand, and felt nothing. Not envy, not sadness, not warmth, just observation. They had reached the world again, but they had not brought themselves with them. At the end of the hallway stood glass exit doors. Beyond them, night air, parking lot lights, freedom. Above the doors, glowing red text. Exit requires witness. The automatic doors did not open. Maya frowned. Witness to what? The lights flickered. The hallway behind them stretched, longer than before, posters multiplying, doors to theaters appearing where none had been. A low mechanical voice filled the space. Escape must be observed. One must remain. Janelle whispered, a witness stays behind. Trevor nodded slowly, understanding dawning, even without memory. Someone has to confirm the others left. Lily looked back down the endless hallway. And that person never leaves? The exit sign pulsed. 1 life for 3. Maya shook her head. No, we didn't come this far to choose again. The maze responded. You have always been choosing. Silence fell. Not the tense silence of earlier rooms, but a hollow quiet, like a house after everything valuable has been removed. Maya searched her mind for a reason to argue, a memory to anchor her refusal. She found only fragments. A bike, a courtroom, a shadow she no longer had. Trevor studied the doors, calculating outcomes with the cold logic of someone no longer guided by loyalty. Janelle looked at her hands, unable to feel the thought of sacrifice. Lily watched the exit, wanting to want to leave. The maze had prepared them for this. It had taken what made refusal possible. Trevor stepped forward. He pointed at himself. Maya stared. You don't even remember us. He nodded. That was the point. Janelle whispered. You'd be alone.
He touched his throat, silent, then gave a small shrug. Alone meant nothing to someone who no longer remembered connection. Lily stepped beside him. No, I don't feel anything anymore. Not love, not grief. Staying won't hurt. Maya looked between them, panic rising. You're not making this easier. The exit sign flickered impatiently. Selection required. The lights in the hallway snapped off. Emergency lighting bathed everything in dim red. The theater doors behind them slammed shut one by one, echoing like gunshots. The mechanical voice returned. Failure to select will result in system selection. The carpet beneath their feet trembled. Maya shouted, "Stop!" Silence. The lights steadied. The exit sign dimmed, waiting. Janelle stared at the exit doors. A flicker crossed her face. I remember something, she said. They turned to her. A boy. Asthma attack. He hugged me. Maya's breath caught. From the vault. You gave it up. Janelle nodded slowly. But the feeling came back. Not the memory, just the reason. She looked at her numb hands. I became a nurse to keep people alive. Trevor watched her, expression unreadable. Lily tilted her head, studying the emotion she could no longer feel. Janelle stepped toward the hallway behind them. I'll witness. Maya grabbed her arm. No, we can find another way. Janelle smiled faintly. We tried. The exit sign flared bright white. Witness accepted. The glass doors slid open. Cold night air rushed in, carrying the distant sound of traffic and the smell of rain on asphalt. Freedom. Trevor looked at Maya, uncertain. She took his hand. Come on, she said softly. He hesitated, then followed. Lily walked beside them, dry-eyed and silent. Behind them, Janelle stood in the red-lit hallway, hands at her sides, unable to feel the air, the carpet, or the weight of what she had chosen. The doors began to close. Maya turned back. Janelle raised her numb hand in a small wave. The doors sealed. They stood under flickering streetlights in an empty parking lot. The theater behind them looked ordinary. Too ordinary. Trevor released Maya's hand politely, like a stranger finishing a transaction. Do I know you? He asked. She swallowed. No, she said. It was easier. Lily stared at the sky. I think we survived. Maya looked at the theater doors. Did they? In the red-lit hallway, Janelle stood alone. The posters peeled from the walls. The carpet dissolved into concrete. The air grew cold. The mechanical voice spoke one last time. Witness recorded. Sequence complete. The hallway lights went out. They escaped. Janelle remained, and the maze has finished its design. But survival without memory, connection, or feeling may not be freedom at all.
The world that doesn't remember. Rain began to fall the moment the theater doors sealed behind them. Not a storm, just a thin, steady drizzle that softened the glow of the parking lot lights and blurred the edges of everything. The asphalt reflected the neon marquee like a broken mirror, the letters smeared into unreadable streaks of red and gold. 3 figures stood beneath the flickering lamps. Maya, Trevor, Lily. 3 remain. The maze had kept its arithmetic. Maya turned back toward the building. The marquee was dark. The glass doors were gone. In their place stood a blank concrete wall, unbroken, windowless, as if no entrance had ever existed. She stepped closer, heart pounding. No, we just came out of... Her fingers met solid concrete. No seams, no handles, no sign a door had ever been there. Trevor watched her with mild concern, the look one gives a stranger behaving oddly in public. Are you okay? He asked. She stared at him. He meant it. He didn't remember. Cars passed on the distant road. Headlights swept across the parking lot and vanished. Somewhere, a siren wailed briefly, then faded into the night. The world had not paused for their suffering. It had not noticed their return. Lily stepped into the rain, letting it soak her hair and clothes. She watched droplets strike her hands and roll off her skin. I think I'm supposed to feel something. Maya's throat tightened. Relief, maybe? Lily considered that. I don't. Trevor checked his phone. No missed calls, no messages, no photos of friends named Maya or Lily. His contact list felt sparse, but not wrong. Maya dug through her purse with shaking hands, pulling out her wallet. Her driver's license stared back at her. Maya Ortiz. The photo showed her face, but the space beneath, where an address should be, was blank. No street, no city, no state. She flipped through the rest of the wallet. No family photos, no receipts, no traces of a life beyond this moment. Her breath came fast. It's still taking things. Trevor frowned. What is? She couldn't answer. They found a darkened storefront window across the lot. Maya stared into it. No reflection. Only Trevor and Lily standing behind her. She stepped aside. Trevor's reflection remained. Lily's remained. Maya was a gap in the world. She pressed her hand to the glass. Nothing looked back. I'm still disappearing, she whispered. Trevor watched, uneasy but detached. You're right here. But the world did not agree. A man exited a nearby convenience store, pausing when he saw them standing in the rain. You folks need help? He called. Trevor turned. No, we're... The man's gaze slid past Maya without stopping. He addressed Trevor and Lily only. You waiting for a ride? Maya stepped forward. Can you see me? The man frowned, confused, not at her question, but at Trevor's reaction to empty space. Trevor glanced between them, unsettled. Who are you talking to? The rain intensified. Maya stepped back slowly.
The maze wasn't finished. It had let them leave, but it had not returned them. Trevor rubbed his temples. Something's wrong. I feel like I forgot an appointment, a name, something important. Lily tilted her head. Does it hurt? He considered. No, just hollow. He looked at Maya again, really looked this time. For a flicker of a second, recognition sparked. Then it vanished. He shivered. We should go. Go where? Lily asked. He opened his mouth. Closed it. He had nowhere to suggest. Water streamed down the parking lot, carrying oil slicks and cigarette butts toward a clogged drain. Maya watched the current swirl. She imagined names dissolving like ink. Marcus. Ethan. Janelle. She tried to say them out loud. Her mouth formed the shapes. No sound came. Not silence. Absence. The maze had taken their names from her. If she could not speak them, could they still exist? Far away, in a red-lit hallway that no longer existed on any map, Janelle stood alone. The walls had stripped down the concrete. The posters were gone. The air was cold and unmoving. A single camera lens protruded from the ceiling, aimed at her. Watching. Recording. Witnessing. Her numb hands hung at her sides. She tried to remember why she had stayed. She could not recall the decision, only the certainty that leaving would have meant someone else couldn't. The mechanical voice spoke softly. Witness active. Loop preparing. The floor vibrated faintly. A new door began to form in the wall before her. Above it. Screening starting soon. Janelle frowned. She did not remember being afraid. The rain stopped. Clouds parted. The theater building, blank and windowless, looked like an abandoned warehouse. Trevor checked his phone again. There's a rideshare 2 minutes away. Lily nodded. Okay. He hesitated, glancing at the empty space where Maya stood. A faint crease formed between his brows. Feels like we're leaving someone, he murmured. Lily followed his gaze. For a split second, her eyes widened, as if she almost saw. Then the feeling passed. We're not, she said. They walked toward the curb. Maya followed. Unseen, unremembered, still erasing. They escaped the maze, but the world does not fully see them. And inside, the system is preparing another loop. One witness remains, and the doors are opening again.
The exit that wasn't an ending. The door at the end of the breathing corridor did not look threatening. That alone terrified them. After everything, the whispering vents, the drowning theater, the mirror corridors, the bone-white hallways, this final door looked like an ordinary emergency exit. Red bar, faded paint, a glowing exit sign above it humming faintly. 6 friends stood before it, or what was left of them. Mara's arm was bandaged with strips torn from her jacket. Eli's glasses were cracked, one lens spidered with fractures. Juno clutched the recorder to her chest like a talisman. Dev's hands trembled, though he tried to hide it. Lila leaned against the wall, pale but standing. Rory stared at the exit sign like a man afraid of sunlight. No one touched the door, because every door before this had lied. Doors don't end things, Juno whispered. They translate them. Her voice echoed strangely, as if the corridor wanted to keep it. Dev swallowed. So what's the rule now? Mara answered, voice hoarse. The building tests what we won't face. Eli looked at her. We faced everything. She shook her head. No, we survived everything. The difference hung in the air like a held breath. Behind them, the corridor walls pulsed, slow, organic, like a living lung. The building was not finished. It was waiting. Rory stepped forward. If this is another test, he said quietly, then it's mine first. He pushed the bar. The door opened. Cold night air rushed in, real air, damp asphalt, the faint smell of popcorn from the actual theater lobby beyond. Streetlights glowed in the distance. A parking lot stretched ahead. Freedom. No one moved, because something was wrong. The parking lot was empty. Not late night empty. Abandoned empty. No cars, no lights in the theater windows, no sound of traffic. Even the sky looked wrong, too still, clouds frozen like painted scenery. Lila whispered, "This isn't outside." The exit slammed shut behind Rory. He was now alone on the other side. Through the small wired glass window, they watched him. Rory pounded on the door. "It's fake! Don't come out!" The parking lot lights flickered on, and figures appeared. People stood at the edges of the lot, dozens of them, still, watching. Their faces indistinct, like unfinished sketches. Rory turned slowly. "They're not moving," he said quietly. One figure stepped forward. It wore his face. The copy's mouth opened. "You left." Rory staggered back. "Left what?" "Left them." Behind the door, Mara whispered, "It's showing him his worst choice." Rory's copy stepped closer. "You ran," it said. "You always run." The figures in the parking lot began to multiply, versions of Rory at different ages, child, teen, adult, each staring. "You run when things get hard. You run when people need you. You ran tonight." "I didn't," Rory screamed. The copies pointed at the door behind him. They stayed. Silence. Rory looked at the door, then at his copies. Then he did something no one expected. He stopped pounding. "I run," he said, "because I'm afraid I'll fail them." The copies paused. "I stayed this time. I stayed because they matter more than my fear." The figures began to dissolve like smoke. The parking lot lights flickered. The door behind him clicked. Rory pushed. This time, the door opened inward. He stumbled back into the corridor, collapsing to his knees.
No copies followed. The exit sign above the door flickered, then steadied. Dev let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. So that's the rule, Mara said. Not survival. Truth. The building didn't want them dead. It wanted them honest. The corridor shifted. Walls receded. The fleshy texture hardened into concrete. The pulsing slowed, like a heartbeat returning to rest. A second door appeared beside the first, plain, unmarked. Juno stepped forward. One last room. Eli frowned. Or one last chance to lie to ourselves. They looked at one another. No one argued. They opened it together. They stepped into Theater 7. The movie was playing. Audience members sat in rows, silhouettes lit by the flickering screen. The smell of buttered popcorn filled the air. The projector rattled overhead. It was exactly where they had started, except the film on the screen was not the movie they'd come to see. It was them, walking into the wrong door, entering the first hallway, running, fighting, confessing, surviving. The audience watched their suffering like entertainment. Juno's voice shook. They're watching us like we watch horror movies. On screen, Mara faced her reflection. Eli broke the mirror. Dev opened the waterlogged door. Lila sang in the dark. Rory stood before his copies. The audience did not react. They consumed. Mara stepped into the aisle. Turn it off! No one moved. The projector rattled louder. On screen, the 6 of them stood before the exit door. The film froze. The audience lights came up. The audience turned in perfect unison. Every face was blank, featureless, hungry. Dev whispered, "What do they want?" Eli answered, voice hollow, "A better ending." The blank faces leaned forward, waiting. The screen flickered back to life. A title card appeared. Choose the final scene. Below it, 2 options. Run, stay. Rory laughed weakly. You've got to be kidding. Lila gripped Mara's hand. If we run, we're just another horror movie ending. Juno nodded. And if we stay? Mara looked at the faceless audience. They don't get to decide what happens to us. She stepped towards the screen. Dev followed. No more doors. Eli pushed his broken glasses up his nose. No more puzzles. Rory stood. No more running. Lila squeezed Mara's hand. No more fear. Juno lifted the recorder. No more silence. Together they faced the screen. Stay, they said. The screen shattered. Not like glass, like paper tearing. Light poured through the rip, blinding and warm. The faceless audience dissolved into drifting ash. Seats collapsed into dust. Walls peeled away like old wallpaper. The projector's rattle slowed. Stopped. The building exhaled. For the first time, the air did not smell of rot or chemicals or damp carpet. It smelled of rain. They stood in a real parking lot. Cars, streetlights, a distant siren, wind rustling through trees. The theater behind them looked ordinary. Neon letters buzzing, posters fading in their frames. Rory turned slowly. Is it over? No doors appeared. No walls pulsed. No whispers crawled through the vents. Juno checked her recorder. It played only static. And then their voices laughing, faint and disbelieving. Mara looked at the theater entrance. The doors were propped open. Inside, Theater 7 was dark, empty, waiting for the next showing. They did not speak about what happened. Not fully. Some truths were too large for daylight. But they carried pieces of the building with them. Rory stopped running. Lila started singing again, on real stages. Dev no longer feared deep water. Eli stopped hiding behind logic when people needed honesty. Juno turned the recordings into a story no one believed. Mara learned that survival wasn't strength. Truth was. Sometimes, late at night, each of them dreamed of corridors that breathed, doors that listened, a theater that watched back, and an exit sign humming softly in the dark. Weeks later, a new poster appeared in the lobby of their local cinema. A horror film. No studio listed. No release date. Just a title. The Last Door Before Midnight. Below it, 6 silhouettes stood before an exit sign. And in the reflection of the glass, the silhouettes were not alone. If you ever rush into a theater after the movie starts, if you see a door you don't remember, if the exit sign hums just a little too loud, stop, because the building doesn't want to trap you. It wants to know you. And once it does, every door will open. End.